also love to congratulate customers on being good customers. Like, I give feedback to the tables and I just say, hey, I just want you to know you were a magnificent table to look after. I've had such a good time. Thank you. People are like, oh, yes. Yeah, we are good customers. Okay. And then you think, yes, because it was this beautiful thing that we've just had together.
And let's acknowledge it.
And yeah, I have been looking after you, but it has been a reciprocal thing because you've been great customers.
Yes, and service, not servitude.
We are orchestrators of good times.
Aren't we?
That's how I think of it.
What a wonderful job.
It's such a good job. And how many other jobs do you get thanked so many times a day?
Right.
We work in a live environment, and if it goes all right...
Which it does 94% of the time.
Well, I think 95% of people are great. You know, WineHeads exists to help people fall in love with wine and to find joy in the art of selling it, because there is an art and you do need to sell it. Yeah. And that's, and coming back to working on the floor, we're all salespeople. And it sounds like a dirty word, not like a used car salesman trying to rip you off. Yeah. But I'm here to show you what the best version of this experience is.
The reality with front of house service, and half the reason we started this podcast was to bring a spotlight to these incredible people, these incredible stories, this amazing industry. People don't respect it enough as a craft. It's not really taken seriously as a career. Why do you think that is? And I'd love to get your thoughts.
It's got such a long history of being the underclass serving the upper class, right? So there's like this thing of...
I've actually never thought about it like that.
The Kitchen Day podcast is proudly supported by Boring Oat Milk, taking care of the boring detail so you can focus on the important stuff, like your morning coffee. If you've spent any time in New Zealand's hospitality world, chances are you've heard the name Katie Woodhead, and probably more than once. A powerhouse in the service space and a deeply respected figure in front of house circles, Katie is known for her unmatched skill, warmth and leadership. Essentially, she is the waiter's waiter. Katie's journey through hospo has been nothing short of iconic, from her early days working with the Bresolin brothers here in Wellington, helping to open and run venues, set up systems, train teams, to her national operations role with Madame Wu and Rata, and later launching Auckland's beloved Hello Beastie. Katie has left her mark on some of Aotearoa's most respected restaurants. From 2021 to 2024, Katie took her talents back to the UK, working as a som at London's famed Noble Rot. Now back home, she brings that skill to Cellar 495 in Hastings, where she just took out the Cuisine 2025 Villa Maria Sommelier of the Year award. Katie is also a business coach with the hospitality company, where she mentors the next generation of hospo leaders with the same passion and precision she brings to the floor. There are few people who know this industry and love it like Katie. Her name has come up in nearly every conversation we've had on this podcast, so it's an absolute privilege to have her with us today. Please enjoy this chat with the one and only Katie Woodhead.
I read a lot about human behaviour and psychology. I just think people are amazing.
Do you get a lot of your inspiration from the resources that you're reading?
It all started because of managing people, and I was like, what? What do you do?
Yeah.
I can't just be nice to them like I am the customers. So that's not working. They have different needs. Yep. So it was about, okay, well, how do you get the best out of people? How do you keep people engaged? And it all kind of started to work reading books about that.
Yeah. And what's your approach to keeping people engaged? Because that's a battle in hospitality, right?
Well,
it really is.
Education is the main thing, I think. It's the time and energy you put into people. I think there's a responsibility of both the employer and the employee to give and give back.
Yeah.
And I think that is when you have those beautiful relationships that stay, and you get that longevity and engagement. People that are learning and know that this job is doing something, that's going somewhere.
They're making a difference. They're having an impact.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think that it's a beautiful thing to be able to say, right, every person that's worked with me will leave better than when they started.
So that's that personal development, right, that you're working on.
Absolutely. And I think that's like the crux of everything I do. I love that the customers leave happier than when they arrived. The staff leave happier when they arrived because they've learnt something, they've had a good shift. And I think that's,
And that's a crazy juggling act that you're just talking about there, because, like you say, you're making sure that the customer's happy and they're leaving, but you want your staff to be engaged too. And those are two balls.
That's why you need to read books and learn stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that's not stuff that comes naturally.
I guess it begs the question: when are you writing your book? When are you teaching us what you know?
I don't think there's a book there. I think it would be a bit too. Don't know.
Well, I mean, you've already said the most fascinating thing about these podcasts for you is listening to other people's stories, and that's why you're here today, is because, Chris and I find your story so compelling. So do so many other people. So we'd love to hear a little bit of that today.
A bit of background. Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming and being with us today. You drove all the way down from Hawke's Bay this morning.
Yep.
Wow.
And what was the last 48 hours like for you?
Windy. Yeah. It was actually such a funny day yesterday. I flew back from Blenheim, so on a Sounds airplane in the morning flight.
Oh, wow.
That was a poor guy sitting next to me, white, holding onto his seatbelt. And I thought, oh my God, and we were going up and down, and down.
What were you doing down in Blenheim? Were you
visiting a friend, friends for birthdays, and we'd gone to North Canterbury and Littleton. So I've had 5 days off, and I feel amazing.
Awesome.
Amazing.
Maybe a bit heavy, of food and wine.
Yeah.
Post-indulgent
and lots
break.
of love.
Anywhere in particular that you visited down there that really kind of stuck in your mind?
100%.
Yeah.
One of my favourite dining experiences for a long time, actually.
Wow.
Black Estate.
Oh, Black
beautiful.
Estate.
Amazing.
Yes.
Like an actual ultimate experience
Really?
from the start to the finish. Yeah.
Impeccable hospitality.
Impeccable hospitality. The food, incredible.
Yeah.
And obviously the wine is amazing. And everything of that combined, while you're sitting in the vines, looking over the Omahee Valley, and beautiful day for it. A little bit breezy, but it was lovely. And it was my friend's birthday.
Oh.
Two of my most beloved friends. We took the dog as well, and the dog was so welcome. The dog made friends with a baby. Everyone was just so into it.
Yep.
And the staff are lovely. And it's just a beautiful place.
Oh,
I think
epic.
it's really special. What they've made there is really, really special.
Yeah.
Highly recommend anyone to go there.
Oh.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it was lovely, but I've had to come back home. Just the scary flight.
On a sound. So for anyone listening who's never flown Sounds Air, explain what a Sounds airplane looks like.
Tiny little plane where you have to bend down to get in.
You're literally sitting right behind the pilot. You could literally just touch his shoulder.
You can see all of the rain coming in. And watching the ocean below, like all of the white caps all over it, it looked like furious. And they said, if we can't land in Wellington, we'll go back. And you're like, okay. And they said, we'll only land if it's safe to land. And the guy next to me is like, and it's sweating. And I'm just like, I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I'm loving it. It's great. Yeah.
I love like roller coasters.
That is a real experience in great weather. Yeah. I can't imagine what it would have been like.
It was amazing. The collective holding of breath.
Yes.
And the exhale at the end was incredible. I actually made a sound. I was like, oh.
Survival. We survived.
Did you clap on touchdown? Just like, yes, we made it.
Everyone was just quiet. I just kind of made a little like, oh.
So you arrive, so you get back from Blenheim and then drive back to the Hawke's Bay.
I went to go and get where my car was parked and my car wasn't there.
No.
So, it had been towed to another road because there was a lamppost or something that had fallen down. So I phoned the police thinking it had been stolen.
Yep.
And I thought, this is going to be fun.
Oh, my God.
Anyway, and they said, no, it's just up the road. So it was like a little bit of waiting time and thinking, oh, God, my car's been nicked. I've got a box of wine in the back.
Oh, thank God.
Is that your first train of thought? Oh, my wine. No.
I didn't even think about the car. I was like, the wine.
Yeah. Oh, no.
And then that was okay. And then drove back up. And so it was a bit of a funny drive. There were lots of like trailers on the side of the road that had fallen over, trucks. There were people getting out of their cars and moving branches.
Yeah, there's like a significant weather event happening around the country at the moment, and it's pretty scary.
Yeah, there's some scary footage, right?
Yeah.
That's
and so I got back to the bay and was like, that's nice. Go to work. Had a lovely service, actually.
Yeah.
Lovely Tuesday night in Hawke's Bay. Normally not that busy, but was pumping. It was
awesome.
Good.
And how was the hospitality scene up in the beautiful bay?
I've only lived there for 4 months now, I think 4 or 5 months. But it is lovely. the sense of community there is wonderful.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky that I work in a central wine bar, Cellar 495 in Hastings. And it has an amazing wine list. And all of the winemakers come there. Well, some of the winemakers come there. Can't say everything for everyone. Lots of winemakers come in, and lots of hospo people, and lots of people from the community. So it's a lovely little central hub.
There's a real kind of hospitality boom kind of happening in Hastings at the moment, right?
I know,
a real
Cuisine
big
Awards,
shift.
everyone's like, woo.
Yeah, which is really nice to see. Because usually, I mean, I've visited there a few times and spent a bit of time up there. And usually there's stuff happening in Havelock.
Yeah.
There's stuff happening in Napier.
Yeah.
And poor old Hastings has been forgotten about. But now there seems to be really a big boom. There's new energy going in there. There's new places opening. It's nice to see.
I didn't know what it was like before, so I kind of didn't have.
I don't have
a, but I felt like it had a really nice feeling, and it feels like the buildings, and like you were saying, they've done it up.
Yeah.
And Simon and Emma have opened their restaurant Ari, which is just around the corner, which is delightful. And you've got Brave Brewing, which is like a staple after work, chicken burger, beer, lovely. And great little centre. Craft and social, fun buns. It's like that kind of quarter is really nice. But arriving in the winter in Hawke's Bay, it was kind of getting the furniture in at 9 o'clock at night and not a single soul on the street. And I thought, what have I come to? There's no people here.
What was the reason for you settling in the Bay?
I don't think I'm ever going to settle anywhere, but I live in Hawke's Bay for the moment. No, wine, definitely. The job at Cellar 495, and because I wanted to have a job where I can work with an international and New Zealand wine list and work with people that love wine, but not have a full-on hospitality job anymore, so I can take some time. I've just started my own wine training company called WineHeads.
Oh, congratulations.
Which is just all taking shape now, which
That
is
is
very
fabulous.
exciting.
Great.
So just really being able to have some time outside of work where you don't go home thinking about work. And I've lived in Central Otago and Marlborough, and so it was like, Hawke's Bay, let's go.
Wow.
And because always learning about wine, it's really good to live in a region and really understand it. So, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the step from service into wine. For a lot of people, it's just quite an organic progression. But for you, it's taken on a really professional slant. Like wine is very much your career now, whereas you made your name in front of house. What was that journey like?
I think it started with tequila. And
Tequila.
then moved on to beer.
Okay.
It's just that kind of, you always having like alcohol in your life. I loved to party when I was younger. Definitely had a bit of a wild streak and wasn't really that interested in wine. But I knew that if I was going to work in good restaurants, I had to know about it.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough to work my first kind of proper manager's job at like a fine dining restaurant. I was 24, I think, then. And the restaurant owners, Ruth and Kate, were Australian. And they just had a different way of thinking about staff training than anywhere I'd ever worked.
Was this here in New Zealand?
No, this was in England.
Right, yeah.
And, Australians, we were like, they just had a different way. I remember seeing Gourmet Traveller and being like, oh, there's some really nice restaurants over there.
Wow.
And
what was their approach?
Well, so Kate was the front of house, Ruth was in the kitchen, and Kate wouldn't let anyone work on the floor. You had to be a food runner until you could identify all the dishes and know the ingredients in the dishes. Then you had to do a quiz based on the food and the wine and the order of service. And you were only allowed to work on the floor if you passed that quiz. And so you stayed a food runner until you were able to come out onto the floor. And then it was proper, we had dress plates on the tables. We would lap napkins.
So proper silver service?
No? Fine dining.
Fine dining?
But
all the flourish.
Fine dining with the Australian touch. So it still had a bit of like
humanity.
Fun, and it wasn't stuffy in any way. Yep. And they had, it was such a cool restaurant. It was in St Albans in Hertfordshire, which is just north of London. So one of the home counties on the border. And they had kangaroo on the menu. People were like, what?
Wow.
And this was in
you
like...
can eat this?
So this must have been, I don't know, like 20 years ago. What were we in? Yeah, so like...
2004, 2005? Yeah.
And so it was mad. And they had amazing wine and just this culture of excellence, and the pillows had to be plumped in a certain way.
Yep.
And you laid the tables where all of the creases all set the chair.
Yeah.
All of the plates, the glasses, everything.
So it's not just about the food, it's about the overall experience. Yeah.
The colour of the flowers. You would go to the market to buy flowers and you weren't allowed to buy blue or yellow flowers. The way the menu was written, it had, she had a certain way of doing it so it kind of triangled out. And the way the words that she used on the menu, because the chef would write the menu and then she would reword it.
Yeah, as a really talented front of house leader should often interpret the menu
Stale
for the
porridge
guests.
doesn't sound so good.
Yeah.
So where were they getting these ideas from for the way that they wanted to do things?
Well, they'd both worked in hospitality in Australia. And so they'd come over. Kate had married an Englishman and had brought Ruth over and said, right, we're going to open this restaurant. And it was a beautiful building. It was 110 seats, over 3 rooms.
Wow, that's a large operation.
It was massive. And it was we didn't have like online reservation system then. It was all handwritten.
Book. Oh my God, the book. I miss the book.
And
Duplicate docket.
A
Yeah.
sheet of paper. That was our run sheet. We were written in pencil so we could rub it out and move things around. But that thing was like the gold. And I just thought, oh God, you just imagine that paper going missing.
Yeah. Or someone spilling a bottle of water on it.
Exactly. Or, just anything happening to that piece of paper, which is your...
It's your Bible. Well, it's your roadmap for the night. Yeah.
And so, getting to work with them was really my first induction to properly wine tasting. And we had lots of producers and distributors that would come in and show their wines. But it was proper, you sat down and you tasted them. And I thought, well, it just tastes like wine, when you're starting.
Yes.
But then when I moved over this side of the world, I was like, oh, there's vineyards here and I can just go to them. And I hadn't been into wine to go to Europe, I knew that there's all the vineyards there.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't into it. And I'd visited lots of breweries and gone and seen how beer was made, but never really thought about wine. And then being here over this side of the world, I went to Australia for a year first. And then was like, oh, I go to the Yarra Valley. I can go to like Adelaide. Oh, it's all here. And
So you were tying that in with a bit of travel as well?
Yeah. Always travel. Yeah. Always. Yeah. And so then it was like, okay, well, this could be really cool. And then just working, I think, with people that liked wine as well, and then starting to drink wine and hanging out with people, because in England, a lot of my friends didn't work in hospitality. And I had a life outside of that. So when I wasn't at work, I wanted to go and hang out with them. And over here, I was like, well, I don't have any friends.
And your work
colleagues become your friends. And then all of a sudden, you're hanging out with all these hospo people and everyone's drinking wine. And you're like, okay, well, we drink wine.
And your palates are progressing at the same time.
Yeah. And so really, it was kind of my late 20s that I started to get into it. And then I really got into it. And I think that's, you start to learn and then you realise that the more you know, the less you know.
And how cool of a club it is.
And, well, I don't know. I thought it was all a bit wanky, to be honest with you.
It seems that way on the outside. And I'm sure this is why you've started WineHeads. I'm sure this is why you've started WineHeads, though, is to try and combat that perception. Because it always seems like that from the outside until you're in it. And then you realise that, oh my God, this is it's like Willy Wonka land. It's so fascinating. There's so many different ways you can go, and it's kind of a magical process. Exactly. It happens from growing a grape and putting it into a bottle, and then it's an expression of the earth. It's a pretty remarkable process. I mean, if you think about it, which you obviously do a lot.
Amazing. Like I just think, and I fell in love with that because I was meeting winemakers and they were showing me what they do, and then understanding it can only happen once a year, and that the wine that is created is the timestamp of the people, the place, the season.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, okay. The more I knew about it, the more magical I thought it was. The more people I met, the less wanky I thought it was. Yeah. And there definitely is still an element of that. But I was like, why isn't everyone drinking wine?
Yeah.
Everyone should drink wine. This is so exciting. And you get to travel in a glass.
Yeah.
You can go and you can taste a wine from Turkey or Greece or Spain or Portugal, and you can sit and you can think about what it would be like to be there at that, you know.
And why it tastes the way it tastes.
And that maybe a wine's come to New Zealand from Portugal that was made 5 years ago, and you think, oh, this was just like a little grape in Portugal 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's that knowledge of the process that just makes you appreciate it so much more.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
100%.
And then it takes away that wankiness because you really appreciate all the time and the effort that these people are putting into these beautiful products.
Exactly. And then I was like, well, I want to help write wine lists because I think that we can, that then you get to taste more wine, you know. Yeah. And so working with Enzo and Nadi, I helped them with the Bresolin brothers, here in Wellington, helping them with wine lists. And then I'm some at Madame Wu, and you just kind of, I think Hello BC, I just put myself forward and said, I can do it. I can write the whole list.
Yeah.
Because they were going to pay someone to do it. And I said, no, let's do it. I can do it.
Yeah.
So at the same time, your sort of wine career is really taking flight and you're finding your feet in the wine world and you're developing language and you're falling more and more in love with it. But it's your service sort of skill that's bringing you to these new jobs. Is that how it kind of played out?
It's always been about front of house first.
Yeah.
It's always been about service first. And then what happened was at Hello Beastie, I worked 2 years there and opened that with Emma and Stu, and it was amazing. Such an incredible experience. They are fantastic operators.
A success from day one, that venue.
Yeah, it was, and it was so much hard work, and I experienced burnout for the first time. I thought I was strong, and I was like, yeah, I am never going to burn out. Look at all these people burning out. Silly, you know. And then I was like, you didn't actually
old school hospo mentality,
yeah,
right?
like really, like awful mentality.
How many hours can I do this?
Awful
week?
mentality.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this today in the car, and I was like, wow, the majority of my life I've worked 2 jobs a week.
Yeah,
55 to 75 hours.
Yeah.
And the opening of Hello BC was so intense, and we were all there all the time. And until you have everybody trained up and ready to go, you know, and you're there all the time overseeing and making sure everything's running smoothly. That first 3 months of a restaurant opening is so crucial. And just, yeah, I think when I finished there, I'd got to a certain point where it was like 1.5 years and all the team had stayed and we had this really great core team and everyone had been cross-trained and it was beautiful. So I was like in a place where I was like, I maybe only need to work 3 services on the floor.
Incredible.
And we had all these ideas about doing our own wine and everything. And Emma and Stu were very much like, you know, always really open to hearing new things and ideas. And we had all these plans and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So then we got through that. And then I thought, oh, I just don't have the energy to do this again. I don't know. People had to go home. You know, there was lots of kind of change and I just thought, oh, the thought of Christmas and it actually made me feel sick.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I think this is me. I think I'm done.
I mean, I know COVID will have done this for a lot of industries, but it really pulled the rug from underneath hospitality, right? You were going from operating one day to nothing. And that experience that you have in hospitality with that personal connection. I mean, I know for myself, I kind of went to a bit of a dark place because I lost my connection with all of those people that I loved seeing every day.
Yeah.
It was hard.
But in the same breath, for a lot of people also like welcome relief from that intensity and that pressure and that relentless nature of...
Well, I think it was that time. I had time. And my flatmate at the time joked that I was the only person still doing 60 hours a week in lockdown because my days were like, okay, I'm going to get up, I'm going to cycle out to... like round the bays, I'm going to go and shoot 100 hoops of basketball, I'm going to go for a run and I'm going to come back and I'm going to make gnocchi from scratch, I'm going to make this, we're going to have cocktails at 4 o'clock, I'm going to clean the house, I'm going to dig the garden. And she's like, well, can't you just slow down?
Was your mind just in that muscle memory? I've got to be active, I've got to be doing stuff.
I don't know, I think I'm an active relaxer.
Yeah.
I say that, but I love chilling on the sofa as well, you know, but just like being busy and doing things. And then I was like, once I kind of settled down a little bit, I was drawing and writing and things that I hadn't really done for a long time and thought, oh, reading lots.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I could get used to this. I could get used to having a bit more time.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the cogs started turning. And I started just to maybe reflect. But the worst thing is reflecting when you're in that state of mind. I didn't realise how burnt out I was. And then I think I finished up and I was like, right, I'm going to go and work a wine harvest.
Wow.
I'm not going to work hospo anymore. I'm going to go to wine and I'm just going to go and work a harvesting.
Really?
So I had some time camping up in Northland, which was amazing. 6 weeks by myself, just cruising around, no tourists. So it was amazing. And then went down to Marlborough. And because I'd been selling people's wine, lovely Claire from Huia, so they don't own it anymore, but I worked with Claire and Mike for their last harvest. Got to go and work with them for the summer leading up and then for the harvest. So because it's such a small winery, I got to do everything.
Wow.
And
what was that like for you to experience that? Because you're very passionate about wine.
It clicked.
Yeah.
I was like, I can be outside, I can be moving around all the time, I can be doing physical labour, because that's really important. I think when you're working on the floor to just going to sit down at a desk, it's a really hard transition. I have tried to do that a few times, it's never worked.
It's really hard.
But yeah, it was just like this thing where I was like, okay, I love this. This could be really cool. But then I realised I'm like missing the service part of it. Like, I love that. And so after some winter pruning at Saracen, I definitely was like, I'm a fair weather vineyard worker. Don't want to do that in the winter. Hats off to everybody that does.
Hats off to everyone who does that. What a job.
Oh my God. Like, unreal.
And thank God they do it too, because it brings us that wine. But my God, kudos to them.
Was it a very physical job doing,
Winter pruning, I was the slowest person. And I hated it because I always like being good at things. And I was very good at it, but I was very slow at it. So
Thorough.
The vineyard manager, he was very patient that he would come to me every day and be like, walk like a crab, Katie, you need to go faster. And I just see everyone going off in the distance. And I was like, no, but you've just given us all this training about sap flow and, how it works and making a wrong cut and how that's going to affect the vine. And I just don't want to do it wrong. So I'd stand in front of every vine and be like, tell me what you need. I don't want to make a wrong cut. I don't want to do it. And then he'd just be like, you need to go. And you got paid by vine.
Oh, no.
And so they were like, you haven't even made enough to be paid minimum wage. So we're just going to pay you minimum wage. So it was like, but it was such a good experience to be a beginner again. And I think that everybody needs to do this.
Multiple times.
It brings you back to, I'd gone from being, general manager of a really successful restaurant to being a total novice in the wine world. Like, I can talk to you about how wine tastes. I can work in the cellar door, which I did like a couple of days. But when it comes to this, I don't know. When you're like, what's this? What's this pump or what's this? I don't know. Yeah.
So, Katie, I really want to talk to you about the service piece, but the one thing that I'm fascinated to get your intel on is because we'll have a lot of people related to the industry listening. We'll have a lot of winemakers listening. We'll have a lot of people who just enjoy dining out listening. And I would love for you to speak to that sort of that issue that exists in the wine world at the moment, where we have all this incredible knowledge, all these beautiful wines being made here, the most wonderful stories, and then the gap in knowledge and the transfer of those stories to the diner or the end user, the end drinker. The role that service should play in that storytelling.
Wow.
But how it doesn't necessarily always do that job really well, and why. Because I have a feeling that you're going to say that WineHeads has sort of come out of this, but I would love to know where was your head at when you thought about starting WineHeads and
You've
why?
just absolutely nailed it. That huge gap. Working in 3 wine regions, Marlborough, Otago and Hawke's Bay, I was astonished that I would go into restaurants and people couldn't talk about the region. Like, that's the very basic thing, that you could talk about the difference between maybe a Pinot from Bendigo or Bannockburn, or you would know where those places are, that you knew some producers and what their style was. Like, and I think this is like it's hard to speak when you're coming from a place where you know a lot, to think, well, this should be just basic knowledge. Yeah. But it actually just should be taught. It's not about that people should know it already. This is the stuff that we should be training these people on. And because down there you have such a, say in Central Otago, you have such a transient workforce, that to be able to give that information and have it set up so that you can easily train people on it is really, I thought that was massively lacking. Yeah. And I know how time poor people are. And I know that training maybe on food menu becomes a bit more important. People being able to know that. Maybe training doesn't exist at all, or what training there is that somebody is doing it that maybe isn't as well equipped. And from all of my experience, I love the guest experience part of it. And I love selling wine for that reason, introducing people to new things, for being able to tell a story and get people excited about a thing and introduce it to them, and then see them pass that on to their friends. And then that person's then talking and telling. I love to say it's like a little dinner party tidbit, you know, that someone's like, oh, do you know that this is this, you know? And it's such a cool
Well, sharing that knowledge,
sharing
right?
the knowledge,
Getting people to buy into that passion that you have.
I love
so
that.
important.
But then I have had that passed on to me through a winemaker or a rep, or someone else a friend introducing me to a wine and telling me that little tidbit. So, you know, I'm thinking like, this is so nice, that whole passing it on. And it works on like a 4 level, where you've got the staff engagement we were talking about earlier, the learning, being able to say, I'm not scared of the wine list. It doesn't scare me because I know what's on it. I know how to navigate it, and I know how to speak with confidence about at least 3 wines on this list. Doesn't have to be the whole list, but I know where they sit in the kind of style spectrum, and I know that if someone's looking for a fresh white, I know where to direct them. Really quite like, where I think of it as basic, but it's not basic. It's quite complicated knowledge, but to be able to put it in that form. Then for the customer, you have a way better experience than somebody sitting there going, oh, actually, I don't know, I don't drink wine, or I don't know about the wine list. I don't know, I haven't been told, or I don't know, I don't drink it. That's not good enough for a wine country. Everybody should be shouting about how great New Zealand wine is. Try this, try this. These people are really cool, they make this, try this. You know, we've got so much going on. And then, you know, for the restaurants to make more revenue, because people can actually engage people and get more sales. Okay, well, I just trust this person now. They've just recommended me a really nice glass. I'm going to have another one. Or actually, let's get a bottle of something, or let's get a bottle of that. You know, being able to engage people in wine, and then, you know, restaurants make more revenue, and then wine, just to sell more wine, help these amazing producers to get their story and sell more wine.
Completely. The wine industry is a jewel in New Zealand's crown. We should all be working to, you know, uplift it and tell the stories. But like you say, it's the stories. I mean, I've certainly found in my career, and certainly had that experience that you just articulated, starting in a restaurant and engaging with a wine list and thinking, oh my God, that's like I'd have to learn a whole degree just to be able to speak about those wines. I don't know where some of those places are. Can't pronounce some of those varietals. But once you start, there are so many obstacles to engagement, right? It's knowledge, it's the specialisation. The language is immense, and the intimidation that you feel if you don't have it.
Especially when you taste a wine and someone's like, it tastes like strawberries. And like I was saying, when you first taste wine, you're like, it just tastes like wine.
It just tastes like wine.
So don't talk about the taste.
Yes.
You don't know. And taste is one of the most subjective things ever. We can't measure it.
Right.
If you've never tasted a fresh nectarine or whatever, you know. Like I found it, I was like, how do people, can you get all these fruits? How do you eat boysenberries? I don't think I've ever eaten.
Or like, how often would you pop, you know, that I love that descriptor of popping a tube of tennis balls. You know, how often do people do that and sniff that and go, right, I'm very familiar with that scent. It's, you know, language is so powerful and intimidating, but it's also just really evocative, and it's just meant to just start to take you in a really creative direction. But that can feel really intimidating as a young server, also because there's that age thing, right? Wine feels like a sophisticated, mature product to be enjoyed by people of a certain age. And if you look at the majority of people working in front of house, that age leans way lower.
Exactly. And, you know, WineHeads exists to help people fall in love with wine and to find joy in the art of selling it, because there is an art and you do need to sell it. And that's, you know, and coming back to working on the floor, we're all salespeople. And like, it sounds like a dirty word, you know, like, oh, I'm like not like a used car salesman trying to rip you off. But I'm here to show you what the best version of this experience is. And by doing that, I'm going to say, you need a little bit of bread with that. You need to drink this wine. You need to have this dessert. And you should definitely have this wine with it. And maybe have a coffee afterwards.
What's your favourite story to tell of one of the wines on the Cellar 495 list at the moment?
I think, well, just right off the top of my head, is the Jim Barry Assyrtiko. So Greek grape from in Australia, in the Clare Valley. And I paint the picture that, say, you know, some Australian winemakers go to Santorini on holiday, and they're sitting there, they're surrounded, blue sea, blue sky, white villas behind them on a white, sandy beach, drinking this crisp, fresh white wine, going, what the bloody hell is this? This is delicious.
Wow.
Reminding them of Clare Valley Riesling. And they loved it so much, they went to this estate, Argyros, which is one of the oldest estates on Santorini, and asked them for cuttings, brought it back to Adelaide, and have now been growing it, and have been making it since 2009. And we get to drink it here in New Zealand, a Greek grape grown in Australia. And then people are like, oh, yeah, I'll have one.
I think you've just sold me one of those, to be honest, Katie.
You haven't described the actual, what's in the glass at all,
No.
but you've completely sold that experience just
absolutely.
through the story.
And it's a crisp, fresh white. That's why I'm going to sell that to someone that's looking for that, and something that wants someone a bit something a bit different.
How would you encourage somebody who's wanting to get into that line of work? What sort of steps could they take to become as passionate about wine as you? Where could they start?
Well, this is a great question. First of all, start where you work. So really taste through your list. Get asking to open bottles.
Yep.
So, it's a really good tool for managers to say, right, we're going to open one bottle of something we sell by the bottle only, because that's what you don't get to taste.
Yeah.
And we're going to all taste it, and we're all going to learn about it. We do a little 5-minute briefing. Someone's in charge of that, and we need to know X, Y, and Z about it. 3 points to sell at the table, right? Mm-hmm. And so then you talk about it, because you're selling it to every table as a special. You've tasted it, so you know about it. And now it goes back as you only open one bottle, and it goes back as a bottle thing, but then you've got that in your arsenal.
Back pocket,
You've got that as you're like, right, okay, I now know about that wine. And so I think taking responsibility for yourself, but also being able to ask, but those things being available for people, which is no cost, extra cost to the restaurant.
Is that something that you encourage within your teams? Is that the sort of thing that you're doing?
I mean, I don't manage anyone at the moment, which is great.
You're taking a break. You're taking a break from a long and illustrious management career.
Definitely the way I've operated, for sure. And we took, say, with Vic at 495, who's my colleague, so it's just two of us on the floor, and then Mike, the owner, who also works on the floor. So between the three of us, me and Mike are kind of full-time and Vic's part-time. But I always say, let's taste these two wines next to each other and see what the difference is. So it's two Pinots, let's see. And it's side-by-side tasting is always really good. And I think that's one of the best ways to learn, is put two different wines, a Pinot Gris and a Sauv, but why are they different? And then you really notice. But if you're just drinking a Sauv in isolation and trying to remember, and then drinking something else, you're like, is it different? I don't know. Especially when you're starting. So I found that was really cool, to just take two very different things and put them next to each other and understand what's different about them.
Yeah, and just getting that conversation going. Yeah.
But again, the ability to just be able to tell a story and to talk and to do it with excitement. There's so much, energy just brings energy. If you're like, oh yeah, it's a wine from the...
I know you were going on, you didn't want to sound like a salesperson or a used car salesperson, but I think in hospitality it's important to, I keep going on about buy-in, that's a bad word, but having passion about the products that you're selling, and then
100%.
Customers pick up on that, right, Dom? I mean, you'll have 100%. It in the establishments that you work in. I've experienced it in the places that I've worked in. When I go out with my wife, when someone's passionate about what they're selling, you're like, wow, that sounds amazing. Just like how you've described that wine.
I want it.
Yeah, I want that experience.
Yeah.
But when you get someone who comes up and goes, oh yeah, we've got this, it just doesn't sell.
Or
it
just
to you,
doesn't
right?
say anything.
No, it doesn't.
And or other than what would you like?
Yep.
Or what you're like, oh well, here we go. It takes it away from transactional to something memorable.
100%.
Transactional to personal. That's what I love.
Yeah.
It's like it should be personal. And every table is going to get a different version of that. But it's not transactional. It's what they need. And it's personal. It's personalised service.
Yeah.
And also fake it till you make it, because Jack, one of my good friends, Jack, is arguably one of the greatest waiters I've ever encountered, and could sell anything off a menu to anyone. But he's vegan, passionately vegan, and will sell you a T-bone steak, will sell you a half chicken, like his life depends on it.
And with the bag now, you just let a secret out now.
Jack makes no secret, but with the same passion and enthusiasm, because he understands where it's from. He respects the product. He respects the supplier, but most of all, he respects the environment of hospitality, and he understands what the guest wants. And in that service role, that's why we're here. We've chosen a career where we want to give people what they want and look after them.
Yeah, we are orchestrators of good times.
Yeah.
Aren't we?
That's how I think of
what a wonderful job.
It's such a good job. And how many other jobs do you get thanked so many times a day?
Right.
I just think it's like instant. We work in a live environment, and if it goes all right,
Which it does 94% of the time.
Well, I think it's I think it's the laws of life. 95% of people are great, 5% aren't. 95% of services are great, 5% aren't.
True.
And sometimes they're the reason that those things have come together. But yeah, just that whole thing of like, come on in. I'm going to show you a good time. I'm in charge of that because I know exactly what's going on in this building, and I know all about the things that we have on the list. And you don't have to just spend all of your time reading, poring over everything and making sure you're making the right decision. I'm going to help you. And that's the guidance, right?
When did you first realise that hospitality was somewhere where you could really shine and make an impact?
I actually resisted it for so long because I grew up living in pubs and in England. And I watched my mum and dad work 80 hours a week.
As
wow.
publicans?
Okay.
As publicans.
Yep.
So we lived above the pubs. So I think we moved into pubs when I was about 7.
Mm-hmm.
And we moved around to new pubs quite a lot. So I was always like the new girl at school. And then always around people in the pub.
Yep.
So you always know that you're good with people. And then obviously working in the pubs.
Yeah.
So I think 13, I could get like a pay permit to work 6 hours a week in the pub. And at the time it was a carvery that we lived in. And it was supposed to be 2 hours limit per day. And it was in times where it's closed, the restaurant's closed, and it's light duties like folding napkins or polishing cutlery.
It's supposed to be.
Yeah. I was 6 hours in the dish pit.
I was going to say, yeah.
I was going to say.
You're going to be washing dishes, aren't you?
Emphasis on the supposed to be there.
Isn't that everybody's introduction to hospitality?
Carvery, like it was like all of these big, like.
How big were you? Like
I was pretty,
physically?
yeah, I was tall.
Okay, so you could hold your
and
own.
I was not a typical 13-year-old. Like I was bullshit. I'd grown up around adults, you know, so I could definitely hold my own, and in a kitchen.
Yeah. Wow.
In a carvery
Terrible.
kitchen. Oh my God.
Terrible. But would work for 6 hours, and then I would eat a plate of the carvery. Like with all 3 meats, I would be like everything
was that
on
your
it.
minimum wage payment?
I earned this.
And like I got paid, I think it was like something like £3 an hour or something at that time. But I had 15 quid, you know, so like, no, yeah, it was £5 an hour. I ended up with 15 quid at the end of it.
Yeah.
Which everyone else was getting like £5 or £10 pocket money. I was rich.
Yeah.
So I was like, I like this working business.
Yeah.
But then got to progress to the dessert trolley. So I was out on the floor,
Step up.
wore a little frilly apron, and went.
And there's a lot of power that comes with the dessert trolley.
Oh my God!
Everyone wants a piece of you.
Exactly. So like go around the restaurant and give out some desserts. You know, it wasn't like the highest quality food, but it was great. I loved it.
Yeah.
And then working as a section waitress and just going up like that, and then really was like, no, I'm not going to work in hospitality. And then mum and dad moved away, and we stayed. Me and my sister stayed till I was 16 and living on my own with the view of like finishing school and do I go back and do my A-levels? And I was like, nah, I want to travel the world. I'm going to become a chef. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. So chefs are needed all over the world. I'm going to do that. So I worked in a cafe. It was like, and went to chef's college. And then I thought that that's what I really wanted to do, but then went to work in a kitchen and was like, that's when I realised I was good at front of house.
Yeah.
Because I was like, this sucks, but I love it out there.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm not very good at this, but I'm really good out there, so I'll go back out the front. But I did do a couple of, like, I worked ski seasons where I was, like, chalet host catering, you know, for 8 to 12 people in a chalet cooking. Like, I love cooking. I love it. But I just couldn't handle being in a box with the hot box with the same people every day.
Yeah.
And back then, the culture was not good. You know, we were getting whipped by tea towels, loads of sexual harassment.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty awful. And you don't think about it. Now, looking back, you think, oh my God. But at the time,
Well, I definitely
it was
wouldn't wash now, would it, at all?
No.
You know, that.
It's so confronting sometimes to think back to some of the things that went down.
Yeah. And so you think and so that's when I was like, right, I love being out the front. And I was very lucky to be able to work out like a half-half.
Mm-hmm.
So at the restaurant that was owned by the Australians, I worked some time in the kitchen on the larder section, and then sometime out on the floor, and had kind of would go away, come back, go away, come back. Traveling overseas, like I've loved it, and I was like,
so it sounds like you're pretty well-rounded in, working in a restaurant.
I think I have done every single job, from dishy to chef to like chalet host to front desk of a hostel. Wow. And then reception. And
that seems to be a bit of a reoccurring thing, doesn't it, Dom, with the people that we're speaking to, that they've gained their experience by working in different areas of hospitality, and then they're making it into their own.
I think so. And I think that that's the beauty of this industry, is that it's so multifaceted. It doesn't just, because you're a restaurant manager, but you could be a restaurant manager of a different restaurant. You could go and work in different restaurants and it could be like a different job. You're working with different people, different visions, a different cuisine. Like, I've loved that. I've worked with loads of different cuisines, and I've learned so much from that. And the progression doesn't have to be upwards. It can be very linear. There's all these little ways that you can go. You can go into spirits and wine, the beverage side of things. You can go into the service, the management, the more back of house, admin side. There's so much you can do. It's just such an amazing, diverse industry. And so I think you go and you put your, I was like, I'm going to dabble in all of these little things, mainly because you need a job and you need money. And I'm thinking that's what I can do. But I tried to be a receptionist.
How did that go?
For a big pharmaceutical company at their Southeast regional offices. Okay. And they said, well, you can't be a receptionist. You're never at reception. So we're going to put you, we like you, so we'll put you into facilities management. So I ran like the conference rooms and made sure everything was stocked. And it was so boring. Yeah. It was so boring. But I was saving to go to Canada, so I did that during the day and then worked in the restaurant in the nighttime.
What is it that you think always pulls people back? Because it does, doesn't it? It always pulls people back.
It's excitement, it's fun, it's pressure. Like, I need things in front of me to do. I can get very easily distracted, so it's good when you're in a live environment. Things are just happening and you've got to deal with what's in front of you now. And the buzz, it's such a buzz. Like the people. I just think I love being around people. And people that work in offices maybe only see the few people that are around them. And it's the same people every day. Whereas you might work with different people on different shifts. The customers are always different. There's always some kind of newness, I suppose, to your day.
And is that what keeps you going now, Kitty? Because, we're talking like 25 years hospitality experience. 30.
Yeah.
I was trying to be kind.
30, I love you.
30, right. But that, okay. 30 years experience. And is that still your drive? Is that your...
I know I look 80, but that's a lifetime of hospitality.
No, not at all. No. But is that your inspiration? Are you still getting that buzz off that service?
I think that's why I work on the floor at Cellar 495. Like, I don't think I'll ever stop working on the floor. Whether it's going to be just for a couple of nights a week or just going on a kind of ad hoc basis to someone else's restaurant or helping out, I just love the joy of service. I think it's so great. I love finding out about people. I think you can ask so many questions. Well, you don't have to ask many questions, and you can get so much information.
You just have to find the thread. Just pull the little threads.
And it's so good. And people are so willing to talk about their lives.
The Kitchen Day podcast is proudly supported by Upstock. So much of our industry runs on good vibes, but there are corners of our industry that will only thrive with the help of smart tech, and that's Upstock. If you buy or sell wholesale, Upstock is a game changer for your business. It has all of your invoicing, ordering, payments, and logistics in one place. You are going to save hours in your day. To find out more, head to upstock.app. Service is so exciting, and to be in service is so fulfilling. It is such an incredible career, but doesn't look it on the outside, from the outside in. Why do you think that is? And because the reality with front of house service, and half the reason we started this podcast was to bring a spotlight to these incredible people, these incredible stories, this amazing industry, because it's an industry in sort of, it's always in crisis in a way. People don't respect it enough as a craft. It's not really taken seriously as a career. Why do you think that is? And Yeah, I'd love to get your thoughts.
It's got such a long history of being the underclass serving the upper class, right? So
Yes.
there's like this thing of...
I've actually never thought about it like that. Wow.
It goes back in
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And the progression is actually, we're not going to look at you, we're going to look at you as equals. We're not now, you know, butler, servant, get me this. It's like, actually now it's developed into a culture of food and drink and enjoying, and service, not servitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But there's still that thing that kind of hangs over it, that it's not a proper profession, and it's something that you do while you're a stopgap and you're going off to do something else, or you do it for a little bit of time while you figure out what else you want to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the people that stay in it have a real understanding and passion and dedication to making it a craft.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those are the people that you want to seek out to work for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have always worked with people who have said, the customer isn't always right.
Mm-hmm.
We stand our ground when people are assholes. We look after people the best that we can, but there's a line.
Yeah.
And I think the Australian women that I worked with were like that. This grumpy old German guy at my first cafe job, he was like that.
Yeah.
We give people the best experience, but there's a line. And I think that by having that, it's kind of saying, well, no. And I think for socially, it's not acceptable to shout at people anymore or demand things. And I think that society has changed in that way. And then it's just slowly transformed hospitality. And so I think that, going back to the question, that we together, if we made a standard that in every restaurant and bar there's training, then automatically it's going to lift, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People are going to say, oh, well, I can stay in this because there's options. There's no clear pathway. You might think, well, I don't want to own a restaurant, so why do I want to work in hospitality?
Yeah.
But it's like a big, beautiful river with loads of tributary... I can't say the word.
I know exactly the word. I can't pronounce it.
Little
either.
things coming off it.
Tributaries?
Yeah.
Tributaries? Yeah.
That you can go down, and you can go and have a little canoe down there and come back to the big river. And I just think people don't understand what actually you can have. And until you work for good operators, then you're not going to be able to see that.
So do you think that's been the secret to your longevity in hospitality, is that you have identified and seeked out the people that you potentially want to go and learn from?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Always want to be with people that are better than me.
So you're continually learning, right?
100%. That's like one of my core values, continuous learning. Like, I always want to be learning something, and then I always want to be passing that on.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us some of those people that you've been seeking out, so that maybe some of us who want to learn from them can seek them out too? No?
Well, I think it's across the board. So it's not maybe just people in hospitality, but people in business as well. I really enjoy like human behavior and psychology and understanding people more. So doing a lot of self-learning in that respect. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you ever listened to any Simon Sinek, or he has a really good book called Leaders Eat Last, and I really enjoyed listening to that. I also love like Adam Grant. He's like a corporate, what did he call him? He's like a psychologist, but for work, work psychologist, I don't know. But then operators. So when you're looking for a job, you need to be interviewing them, saying, what kind of progression is there? Yep. What kind of training do you provide? What is my learning going to look like? What does my first 3 months of work look like? Do I get an induction?
I find the training piece so interesting and worthy of a whole conversation, because I would say there are probably so many incredibly talented owner-operators who would love to be training their staff, but maybe don't know how to begin or don't know where to start or don't feel like they have the time or the resourcing to do that. What would you say to those people?
Ask for help. Get external help if you can afford it, or collaborate. Like, I find it mad that we're in this industry and we're all doing the same thing, yet we don't share.
I think there's a bit of sense of embarrassment, though, that people don't want to ask for help.
But that's it. AI.
Yep.
Use AI. Like, I am so into that. SOPs, job descriptions, conversation, job interview questions. You can be like, I want to hire this person, this kind of person. How do I find that out? And asking people, asking for help. And that's a hard thing to do, I know. Yeah. But we're all doing the same thing. And I think that there should be, I mean, it's been my dream since I've come to New Zealand to have this big online training resource, and I want to do it with wine, and I would love to do it with, you know, where you have templates, and a restaurant association does well, but you have to pay for it. So why can't we do these things for free?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, why can't the government subsidise that and help this industry? Why can't we look at training and development? Because it is an industry that holds up the country as well, and there's so many people working in it.
Yeah.
And we won't lose people to Australia and Europe. Yeah, everyone wants to go and have a good time, but then come back, because there are great places to work here. We do pay people well. And even if you're not getting paid as much, you have there's a different thing that you're getting. You're getting your earnings in learning. Earnings and learnings. Oh, I love
that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that there should be, and there could be a lot more available to people, where there's things that can save time, templates, what that looks like for the first 3 months of a employee that works on the floor or in the kitchen or behind the bar.
Like industry standards.
Industry standards, yeah. But that's not through a school, because I think that a lot of people that work in hospitality like learning, but in their own way.
And on the job.
And maybe, it's practical. It's practical skills that you can say, right, I've done that and I can do this. I've been shown that and now I can do it. And I've always been like, well, hospitality schools suck, because you don't learn hospitality in a classroom. You learn it by doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's definitely, going to chef school, you need to learn skills, but actually on the floor, you just need to do it in a live environment, because it's not even real opening a bottle of wine in front of one person when no one else is looking. You need to do it at a table when
everyone's staring at you.
Yeah, where you feel like they are.
You always feel like that.
Well, telling somebody about service and experiencing service are two different things.
Exactly.
You know?
So I think it would be a really great thing for New Zealand to really up their game in that respect.
I completely agree. I mean, people are only going to take this industry as seriously as we take ourselves. And the training piece is the piece that's missing now, especially after the roller coaster of the last 5 years for all hospitality owners, that renewed focus on the bottom line, that renewed focus on cutting costs, that renewed focus on like streamlining business. For so many businesses, ours included, stripped away all of that extra time and extra that just that little bit of fat on the roster where you would have time alongside your staff to talk. And that's really what it is. It's time on the floor together, side by side, outside of the pressure of a demanding service, where you can say, right, we're going to take the next 10 minutes to look at this wine and just have a thoughtful moment. Or we're going to take the next 10 minutes, or, a chef could teach a skill in that time. But we've lost that, haven't we? The sense of like, there's no time, it costs too much money. But actually it's costing our businesses so much more in the long run. More. And that sense of training should never be considered a luxury. It's essential. It's a building block to service.
Yeah.
And I think it's really doable if you think about it in, like you were talking about, like 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be a whole sit down, organise an hour.
No.
It can just be, or a briefing, 5 minutes. Okay, today we're going to look at this wine. What 3 things could you say about this? Let's all decide together. Great. Okay, cool. That's that. Now you can go and talk about that at a table and see where you get to. Or now you've got that, and it doesn't even have to be a wine. It can be like, okay, what service point are we going to look at today? Let's look at table maintenance. This is going to be our focus. What does good table maintenance look like? Okay.
What does good table maintenance look like to you?
Is that you only have the things on the table that you are using and that you need.
and it is as simple as that. I love that.
Yeah.
And when you leave, all you should have is the glass that you've been using, i.e. your water glass.
That's my friend Erin, who was the restaurant manager at Loretta for the first 7 years that it was open, calls it a that's a perfect table. When the guest gets up to leave and all they have is their water glasses. That is a perfect that's a perfect score.
I love it. I love it. I went to Hello BC a couple of months ago, and one of the massive things there is they have chopstick wrappers.
Oh, yes.
And it's like new staff. You're like, pick up the chopstick wrappers, pick up the chopstick wrappers, pick up the chopstick wrappers.
Yes.
And it's just so good when you dining there. I hadn't even thought about it. And someone just came along and picked up my chopstick wrapper, and I was like, yes, that's so cool.
Do you find yourself critiquing places that you go to and just looking around constantly?
No, I have to sit looking at the wall.
Yeah.
Like my friends physically move me sometimes. So they're like, stop looking. Oh, you're always looking.
Yeah.
And you're not judging, you're assessing. You're just saying,
it's the curse of working in this industry, isn't it? They've forgotten my order. I just know they've forgotten my order.
Yeah, I can see 3 dockets up there.
Yeah.
And then as isn't there.
Those drinks need to be run. Those drinks need to be run. Someone run those drinks.
Why are they standing there on their phone? You know, like
it's so you can't unsee it, can you?
Absolutely not. And you know, I love love restaurants. I love being in them,
of course.
And so you really have to. I don't know. I can never like fully relax into it.
Well, there's a real. I think with the kind of energy that you bring to the floor, there's an awful lot of grace in what you do, but and also just in how you are as a person. And I can imagine that you would just be really gracious in that environment. You'd
so
see
understanding.
It would kill you, but you would be able to say you'd understand it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I say, never judging, just like
Always
always assessing.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, why are they doing it like that? And like we learn off each other.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes someone's got like a cool way of presenting a bill or something. You think, oh, that's really great.
Oh my God, I had that exact experience up in Auckland recently. Went to Juno, beautiful Jamie and John's new place in Ponsonby. And I think I came back and said to Chris immediately, oh my God, do you know they serve their coffee without the saucer and the teaspoon? And I think you were like, yeah, it's so clever. And I was like, it's actually brilliant, because do you know how much money we spend replacing teaspoons every month? They have to, you know, how, like, I often think a brilliant hospitality business idea would be a metal detector
around the bin,
for the amount of
magnets.
cutlery.
There is a thing. We worked in a place that had magnets around the bin. Wow. And so if you tried, you know, to put something in the bin, it would just
yeah. But just the cost of the sauces. And I think back to Al at Depot putting the wine in the tumblers. Like he just took a tradition, an expectation, and turned it on its head slightly, just because informality is what he does really well. The coffee without the saucer and without the teaspoon, I was like, man, that is so smart. I'd never seen it before. It was such a simple thing. I was like, I'm going to put that in my back pocket. Yeah. See, we learn off each other. Yeah.
And when you have a really lovely experience, you're like, oh, that was so fantastic.
Yes.
I loved everything about that, and I feel great. And now I'm going to go and tell everyone about it.
Yes.
And, and all of those little things are the sum of that, you know.
Yeah. That takes me back to what you were saying about the storytelling and the wine thing, is because one of the sort of most encouraging things I was ever told when I was at the very start of my wine journey and starting to get into wine and starting to like venture a descriptive word when we were all tasting together, you know, maybe lime, you know, it was right at that start. And somebody said to me that it doesn't matter how you describe the wine, the guest won't remember any of that, but if you tell them a story, they'll remember that, and then they will tell that story. And it's that whole thing about give them a beautiful experience and they become mini ambassadors for your business.
100%.
But that storytelling piece is the connective thread. It's so powerful. It's so memorable. They take it with them and then they share. Oh, if you see that wine again on a shelf, I know an interesting fact about that wine. I'm going to share it. That I
Keep
think,
buying it.
yes,
put it in a cellar.
That storytelling piece is so crucially important. Is that what you're going to be doing with WineHeads?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to train people to talk with confidence at the table, navigate a wine list, and create beautiful wine experiences for people. But it ties in everything I love. The memorable experience, I think. What was I thinking about? Like, what is the one thing in service that I do that, you know, like maybe, you know, makes a memorable experience or makes people feel like they're part of it. And I was thinking about it. I was thinking, there's loads of different things, but it's like remembering someone's name, you know, and using your till system to put people's names into, and so you remember not just the person that's booked it, but what their wife is called. Yep. Using it the next time they come in, and it's that connection thing. And then remembering something that they've said to you. And I think this is I'm approaching that in the same way as I'm learning about wine. I'm remembering things, and I'm remembering a story, and I'm remembering, okay, the winemaker's name is this, and this person, this is the nugget that I've got from that. And it's the same thing with customers. You're remembering things about them. Yep. And so when they're coming back, you're using that for them. And I think it's, again, you're creating a little story about the customer and to enable to give really good service for them next time. Because how nice is it when you walk in somewhere and they're like, hey, Chris.
Yeah.
And you're like, what? I've only been here once.
Yeah, and those interactions just make the customer experience just next level.
Yeah.
Right? And it's about those customers coming back to enjoy that experience again and again and again. And that's what hospitality is about.
Exactly. And then you remember what they drank. And you're like, we had the Felton Road Bannockburn Riesling on, and it's off dry. And I love it. I am a sucker for some breakfast Riesling, I call it, because it's like
Felton Road can do no wrong.
10% alcohol. And I got my family into breakfast Riesling for Christmas. So after champagne for breakfast, we get into breakfast Riesling. And everyone was like, oh, I don't want to.
Why not?
I don't want to drink that. What are you doing? Like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's like juice. Drink it. And my sister tried it, and then she's like, I love it. And then my mum tried it, and then I wasn't there last year, but I did all the wine for them for Christmas. And they said, well, we don't care what's in it. Just make sure there's some breakfast Riesling.
Oh my God.
Anyway, so I love this wine. And I tell that story, like I say, it's breakfast. Yeah. You can drink it any time of the day. It's only 10%. And it's a joy. Yeah. And it's also gateway wine. So for people that don't really drink wine, it's got the sweetness, but it's got this beautiful, refreshing acidity to it
and complexity
as well. And so, like telling this story, anyway, this woman came in last night, and I saw her and I said, oh no. And I had given her the first taste of wine. She'd never really drunk wine before. And I'd given her the Felton Road Riesling, and she came back in and I said, oh no, we don't have your wine. And she looked at me and went, what? How do you remember that?
Oh,
and I said, because I had such a lovely time with you, and I was so excited that you got to try wine and you enjoyed it.
What a lovely experience for that lady to come in and reconnect with you like that.
And so awesome. She was like, oh, that's so lovely. And I said, but we don't have it anymore. So what I could do is get you something else that could be along the same vein. But
Kitchen Day is proudly supported by Dropper. Dropper helps you take care of your team with rosters that just make sense. Serve up the perfect roster with Dropper. I think more people need to understand just how skillful what you've just explained, how skillful that is.
Yeah, you can't teach that.
To do that.
Yeah.
It's really hard to teach that.
But you can use lots of tools to help you. So the booking system, notes in people's, if you have the ability to do it, it's so valuable. So really hit home at Noble Rot. I worked in London, not the Wellington one. So they have 3 wine bars, 2 wine shops and a magazine, and they are phenomenal. And I went there for a wine education, and I studied my WSET diploma there, and I worked as a somm on the floor, and it was so intense. And
I bet.
Like, it's thousands of wines on the list, and you just have to know. And
it's wine mecca, isn't it?
It's wine mecca. I forgot why I was telling this story now.
The notes, the customer notes.
At the end of service, we would sit down, we'd do a blind wine, and then you would have to write down the notes from the customers in your section. So anything, and it was of interest. So it wasn't like, if someone just came in and was like, had 2 glasses of Burgundy, you're not like, drink Burgundy. But if someone came in and was like really interested about wine, tried multiple glasses, maybe drank from the Coravan list, you would write it down, and then it keeps a record of that. So then in briefing, you're going, right, okay, we've got these people coming in, this guy's been in 7 times, and he, like, last time he drank X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And you're already armed, and you already know. And we used to fight over customers. There was this like South African guy that would just fly in, and we looked after him the first time, and he like had 5 bottles of wine between the 2 of them, and just left like 2/3 of the bottle for us for after service.
What a
these
gift.
are like the most magical wines that we would never be able to afford to drink ourselves. He spent 14 grand on like a meal for 2.
God.
And then you just think, and we got to drink those wines after work. But
wasn't Elon Musk, was it?
No, then the note. Everyone was like, oh, I hope it's in my section. I hope it's in my section. Because it was the notes of like the guy, the really generous man, that drank all of these incredible wines.
Yep.
I mean, we all got the benefit of it after service. But those notes, and so that really stuck with me. And I was like, they were such powerful tools. And especially I was maitre d' there quite a bit, and of the new Mayfair opening. And it was a multi, site. And you would know people like to where people like to sit, what they like to drink. You were passing that information on, and you can really make service just from before people have even walked through the door.
Yeah.
The guest just is astounded, and that interaction becomes personalised from the minute they walk in the door, and it helps them develop like an emotional connection to the venue, which, you know, equals return on investment. You know, that kind of training, those kinds of systems, they're profitable ultimately.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that asking someone's name, we're just talking about transactional to personal, just asking, hey, what are your names? When you've been having a nice time with someone, or at the end, you know, and then people introduce themselves and you're like, okay, it's instant connection.
Yep.
It's if you don't do that, you can still have a good time, but it's like
Still
you've just made it
transactional.
personal
Yeah.
because now you know each other's names without wearing name badges. And because you've asked, they're like, oh, she's interested in us. You know, oh, she likes us enough. You know?
Or if you remember
you know.
somebody's name, they think to themselves, I meant enough for that person to remember my name.
Exactly. And it's all about how you make people feel. I'm like a big person on welcomes. I hate going into a restaurant and getting ignored.
Yep.
I feel like a lemon. You know, like no one likes to go into a room full of people they don't know, while everyone like looks around at you
And stand there vulnerably.
and you just stand there like, oh God.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't do that if someone came to your house, right?
No.
You wouldn't ignore them. You know, you welcome them in.
course.
You show them where to sit down.
The psychology of the front door at a restaurant, I find so fascinating.
Me
and
too.
often I'll find myself getting into the weeds with staff who are like, what? And I try to explain, you know, when guests step over the threshold at your venue, they are doing two things. It's a vote of confidence for you in your venue that they want to be there and that they want to spend money. So you don't have to convince them to do either. They've already shown you.
Yep.
But they immediately transition to a place of vulnerability because they need their decision to be validated. They need someone to acknowledge them, someone to see them. And that can manifest in so many different ways. Eye contact is by far the easiest because you don't have to run over to them. If you've locked eyes with somebody, you've said to them, I see you, and now you're on my radar.
Yeah.
And I will get to you. Saying hello obviously is a massive one because again that further reinforces I know that you're here now and I'm going to work to serve you, to seat you. Yeah. But that time frame is like 5 seconds
And
max.
If you think about how our brains work with first impressions, you're already assessing that place. And if you're ignored, you're already starting from the bottom.
100%.
You know, and you've got to then work at bringing that back up.
100%.
But if you can start with a beautiful big hello, welcome. You know, I've always said that if I own my own place ever, it will feel like a big, warm, bosomy hug. You know, I just want people to feel like they're in there and embraced.
Smothered. Yeah.
You know, like...
Well, it instantly
it's
relaxes
like,
people. They're like, oh, okay,
totally.
yeah, cool.
I
That's
belong
awesome.
here.
Cortisol
Here we go.
drops.
Yeah. I belong here. I'm
Yep.
in the right place. I'm
Yep.
standing in the right place.
And
I'm
they
not,
want me here. They're happy that I'm here.
And they're welcome. Yeah, and that's it. And you know, we're talking about the economy these days, and people aren't going out and spending money, and you know, and it's been really hard. Whereas when people do come out and spend money, you need to celebrate the fact that they've done it with you, and that you're saying, right, okay, wicked. You've come through this door. I'm going to show you the best time, and it's going to start from the moment you open the door. And you're going to feel welcome. You're going to feel part of what we've got going on here. And by the time you leave, you're going to want to come back.
Yeah, you keep circling back to that experience.
Yeah.
It's all about creating that ultimate experience,
And
right?
feel like such feelings. Like I get feelings like where I'm like, I love that table so much.
So do I.
You know, and it's not about me. It's always about them.
Yep.
But you just people that are willing to just relax into it and have a good time. And
There is no better feeling than sidling up to another host or another server at the point of sale and saying, "Oh my God, there are such lovely people in the dining room tonight," and they go, "I know," and it just lifts everything. The vibe. It's an addicting feeling, isn't it? That's why we keep coming back to this bloody industry.
And
no one can leave because we love it so much. It's like so addicting. I feel like it's the same way that rock stars would feel if they left the industry. They'd be like, I need to get that buzz of being.
I need to perform. I also love to congratulate customers on being good customers. Like I give feedback to the tables and I just say, hey, I just want you to know you were a magnificent table to look after. I've had such a good time. Thank you. Wow. People are like, oh, yes. Yeah, we are good customers. Okay. And then
fabulous.
You think, because it was this beautiful thing that we've just had together.
And let's acknowledge it.
And let's acknowledge it. And I have been looking after you. But it has been a reciprocal thing because you've been great customers.
Yes, and service, not servitude. Yeah. We haven't. This hasn't been a me being your slave thing.
Yeah.
This has been an equal dynamic.
We've been in it together, having a great experience together.
Yeah.
And that's the best services. Like I looked after this table of 8 the other day, and there were 4 couples, and they were so great. One of their sons is like the top som in Denmark. He's Kiwi.
Wow.
But he's over there. And I was like, oh my God, something just came up on my Instagram about this morning. How weird. And they were super proud. Anyway, they're really into wine. And they started off just by ordering, we'll have Laurent Perrier Rosé. And then we're going to have one of the local sparklings as well. And then we're going to order some wines. And then we're going to order from the cellar list. And so they kind of knew what they wanted. But then I was guiding them as well. And everything, they were like, taste this and taste that. And we just ended up having this great time. I ordered for them. And at the end, they were all hugging me.
Yeah.
They tipped me $150.
Yeah.
They were like, this was just the best time. We didn't even know what to expect here. And we've just had the best time.
And what
Magic.
an amazing experience
And
for
I
you
was
too.
like,
you know?
Saturday lunchtime, it's like, this was so cool.
Yeah, what a
Yeah.
gift. And this is my job, and I get to do this for a living. How wonderful. And what I find so compelling about those experiences is that in a year or two's time, there's no way they'll be able to recall what they ate. They might be able to recall what they drank, but they will be able to recall their experience with you in graphic detail.
Yeah.
Because that's the most connective and memorable part of what we do is the human piece.
Oh, and we are so thirsty for it in this day and age.
Starved of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Starved of it.
Well, everybody's really happy to tell you the negative side, but it's really rare that you get the positive.
Yeah.
And when you do get it, man, you're like a sponge, right?
Yeah.
You hold on to it, you love it.
It's like those, it makes me sad about reviews and that how people can take something that's, I don't know, so much work and just unravel it and not understand that we are like the environment and what's happening. And and then just kind of write really quite spiteful things or use language. They say that it's like language that's the same as someone that's been through a trauma. Like this was like the most disgusting meal of my life and I am so upset. I've never been more, angry or
Reviews
anything.
are-
Yeah. I will never write a bad review. Ever.
I've thought about this for a long time. You wouldn't go into an art gallery and say, the paintings were fine, but I prefer sculptures, so 1 star, or, walk into, I don't know. It's a really unique kind of aspect to our industry.
How people feel that they can critique something that, when people are like, well, I could have cooked it at home. I think, that really gets me. It bugs me because I'm like, well, you didn't.
Why do people think it's their right to do that though?
I think the rise of celebrity chefs and the rise of being able to be in the restaurants and everybody's got an opinion and people are allowed to voice the opinion. It's such a free platform having everything online.
Platforms, yeah.
And you've got a platform to voice your opinion. You see things like Reddit and you can go on threads and people are talking about some weird shit and you're like...
Also, food is universal. We all need it.
Exactly.
We all eat it.
And everybody, it's taste, right? Everybody's got their own preferences. No one can measure it and no one can be right or wrong. So it's so subjective. There can't be a black and white, this is right and this is wrong. It's so subjective. So everybody's always going to have an opinion on it, right?
Yeah.
And so... And it's like this empowerment that everybody needs to hear your opinion. It could be like, just have your opinion, keep it to yourself, vote with your feet.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
vote with it. If you don't like it, don't go back.
Have you got any secrets for dealing with negative feedback or negative customers?
Kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
100%.
Yep.
And just let it go as far as it goes, I always want people to leave happy, and I think that a complaint, if someone is complaining at the time, it is magnificent. Because you can do something about it.
Yep.
And it's so respectful for somebody to say, here's what I think right now. I'm not going to go home and attack my keyboard.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you. I'm going to have the balls to tell you to your face.
Please, more people need to do that.
Yep.
And then you have the ability to be able to do something about it and then always do something about it and go above and beyond what you do about it. Say thank you for that. I appreciate this feedback. We are going to take it on board and I do agree or we'll look into it.
Yep.
And make sure they feel heard. I mean, we did lots of training about complaint handling and the tone of your voice and the way that you talk. And it's really important that people are saying something because they want to be heard and they want to feel validated. Yeah. So that's half of it, and I just think then really just try and understand where they're coming from. And half the time, I mean, it's not really about what's going on there.
Might be something else going on in the background.
Yeah.
It's only hurt people who hurt people.
Yeah. So you think, well, I actually just always go with the view of feeling like empathy. Okay, this has been a bit shit for you. How can I make it better?
Yep.
Okay, we can do this, this, and this. And then people leave happy. It's magnificent. If they don't, then you think, well, I didn't win that one, but you can't win them all.
Yeah.
I would love to be served by you, but I think more than that, I would love to work a shift alongside you.
Yeah.
It would be so much fun.
I'm pretty intense.
I just think it would be so much fun. Yeah. I have a couple of last questions for you to round up, because you incredibly generously bought a bottle of champagne in, which is the most Katie Woodhead thing
Just
you could ever
turn up
do.
with a gift.
Have
There
a
we go.
gift for you.
Yeah.
Thinking that we should celebrate this.
I think we should celebrate this beautiful chat. But I'm just, this is quite an obscure question, but I'm just really interested to know, what do you obsess over?
Well, this is, table maintenance, wine, neatness. Mm-hmm. Like, I obsess over detail. I love, like, things being straight. Like, your things, wooden blocks up there have been bothering me.
Oh, yes.
They've been like a really
out of order. Table lines, the lines on the table.
Some straight and some aren't, are like double blocked. Why are they on 3 shelves? It's like this, and I think maybe font and menu and type and I think
it's those finer details.
It's the details.
Yeah.
Details. Like I tidy up toilets when I go into toilets, and like if hand towels are on the floor, I tidy them up. I might wipe the sink a little bit, you know.
Leave everything a little better than you found it. A classic hospo lesson. You know, somebody says to me, "I'm just nipping to the bathroom." I'm like, "Give it a tidy, give it a tidy while you're there."
100%. That's like the whole maitre d', toilet checks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a kid, going to different pubs and restaurants with my mum and dad, one of the things that we loved was checking out the toilets. Like, why is that a thing?
Yeah, it's called big bathroom energy. If a restaurant or a venue has like great bathroom energy,
but
then
they were all shit. You know, like it was pub toilets, so we'd be like, let's go and see what the toilets are like.
It's just it's a really interesting. It's a sort of physical expression of. It can be a real interesting physical expression of creativity, or the way that you set up your toilets, the way that you do your bathroom, or not.
Yeah, well, I think you can tell the quality of a venue by the what they're doing in their bathrooms.
I didn't even realise this was a thing. I think you two have just started something new.
I'm pretty sure there's an Instagram account.
Oh no,
it's definitely a thing.
Restaurant bathrooms of Wellington, I think.
I mean, it's amazing.
I'm telling you right now, I'm not joining you two to go and check out bathrooms.
In Amano in Auckland.
Stunning.
Except
for when the hand towels.
Yeah.
You know, but we'll sort that out.
Good bathroom checks.
Stunning.
I'll re-roll them.
Oh man.
The bathrooms at Prefab, I adore whistling at Prefab.
Yeah.
Because I go in there, fresh flowers.
Beautiful
Big cubicles, hooks, like big mirrors, acoustics have been thought of.
And you know, that's it. When the detail doesn't stop in the restaurant and it goes through to the bathrooms, you think these are people that care about detail.
Yes.
I went into a place in Littleton, a little pizza place, and they had beautiful like wallpaper, and it's Arbor Pizza.
Oh, yes.
Right, and so it's a beautiful building, loads of detail and loads of flowers, like plants and stuff inside it. Anyway, go into the bathroom and they've got a little pot of tampons and sanitary pads, and I just thought,
so
amazing.
Thoughtful.
You know, it's so thoughtful. It's something that you see every now and again, but I thought, wow, in this little place that someone's gone, yep, I've thought about that. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, just lovely little touches.
Finer details.
The different hand creams or whatever you can get, you know, you're always like...
Amano, hand wash, Aesop, hand balm.
I know.
You come out smelling of beautiful medicinal Aesop.
But I think the main thing I obsess about when I'm working on the floor is the customer experience.
Yeah.
Yep.
I hate the thought of people not having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I hate it.
Yep.
So I think that's the driving force of like, we're here together to have a good time.
You are so in tune with that. And I'm so excited with about what you're going to do with WineHeads, because The industry needs it. It needs this kind of intervention. It needs this kind of generosity. It needs this kind of skill. And you are, I think, all of those things
It's fun
combined.
and energy. I think that we forget that we are in the business of fun.
Yep.
And while it is serious because it's business and it's people's money and livelihood, if we're having fun, the customers are going to have fun. And then it's just going to become, everybody's going to have a good time, and then it's going to be great for the business. People are going to keep coming back. It's that whole
There is
evolving.
for people who really do focus on the numbers and the data, that energy exchange does have a really tangible ROI on it, and there's no denying that.
Yeah.
And I think I can talk from a place because I'm not a business owner. I do work with a lot of business owners and I've opened a lot of businesses for people. But I've chosen not to take that responsibility myself because I want to keep the fun.
Yeah. But you have an amazing array of experience and knowledge, Katie, that you can pass on to the next generation of hospitality people and inspire them.
That's what I'm hoping. Get people into it. Keep people in it.
Yeah.
Keep people
absolutely.
in it. That's the main
Absolutely.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah. And, drink champagne for breakfast.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean,
more often.
You can still have fun, right? You can work and still have fun, and that's the important thing.
And I think we're in life, nothing is 100% fun all the time. You need to have the troughs with the peaks because otherwise, what are the peaks?
What are the peaks?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think if you're having fun 75% of the time, it's a good time.
It is a really good time.
Amazing. Awesome.
Oh my God. What a fantastic chat. We could sit and chat
I
service
know.
for hours, but there's a bottle of champagne to drink.
Yeah.
and you need to get yourself back to the Hawke's Bay. Katie, thank you so much for making the trip down to see us today, for sharing so generously this beautiful story. I'm so excited to share this with everybody who likes food, who likes wine, who likes dining out.
Cool. Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, an absolute joy.
It's been a real privilege to sit here and to listen to your story. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I didn't get to tell the story of when I served the Prime Minister on acid, but we can save that one for next time.
Is that part two? Yeah, that's
And
part
that's
two.
the lead into part two. All right. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
What a joy.
Thanks,
Thank
Katie.
you. Thank you.
The Kitchen Day podcast is recorded and produced by John O'Tucker at Empire Films. We film here at Loretta, where we get to hear incredible stories from some of New Zealand's most talented front of house professionals. If you enjoyed today's conversation and you know somebody else who might like to hear it too, I would love it if you would share it with them, or better yet, hit subscribe. It's a little thing like that that helps us to continue to bring these stories to you in season 2 and beyond. Thank you so much for listening today. Have a great service.